Today we're going to go through a full workflow in Lightroom. You're going to ask yourself, well, what's a workflow? It's a way of making sure that our work is consistent and it's efficient. And efficient because, well, we want to spend more time doing the editing and producing photos rather than organizing and trying to find photos and going through what becomes a messy process if you don't have a very structured way of doing it. We're going to do that in 3 steps today. First of all, we're going to sort out going through importing and organizing our photos. Second step is editing, the bit we really want to do, the bit we want to spend time on to get our photos to look the way we want and have a feel that we're looking for. And then 3 is how we output those photos, how we save them and how we put them on things like social media or photography websites so we have a consistency across our photos, so we have a style almost. So we're just going to get straight into it. I'm going to head right into Lightroom. Here we are in Lightroom then. As you can see, there is nothing currently in here, so we're going to start straight off by going to the import button right here at the bottom. And here we are, and it opens up because I already have my SD card already plugged in. And as you can see up the top here, register as the F drive Nikon D100. I have also up here copy to DNG as my preference. It's still a RAW file, but it's just a generic RAW file, which just makes it easier for some programs to open and use. So, as you can see, we have all of the pictures here. We can scroll down, there's quite a few. It's from a street photography I did a while back. Now, automatically, this box here will be ticked, selecting everything, and we don't want to import everything. There are going to be photos that just didn't turn out, we just don't like, composition or quality or whatever it is at the time. So we're just going to untick that straight away. There we go. So everything's unticked. And before we start actually picking which files we want to organize where they're going to go. So over here on the side, we can see we're going to organize by date. I mean, you can do it into a particular folder, but I like doing it by date, so that's the way we're going to do it today. And down here is the format in which it's going to be saved. So as you can see here, it says 2017. So it's going to go into a file called 2017, which is down here. Then it's going to go into a file called May. And inside of that, it's going to be 23. Now, because if you leave this format the way it is, it will read the date off the photo and it will put it in the according folder. So it will always go into 2017, the same folder. It won't create a new one. The same with the May folder. If there's already one there, it'll put it in that May folder, and then it will date it accordingly. And it will create a folder for that date then, which should usually be the thing that's different, will be the month and the date. And so that's the way we want to keep it. It works. Trust me, we'll show you now in a second. So I'm going to say, let's see, I'm going to pick this one, this one, this one. I'm just going to pick a few of these. And as you can see, I'm just picking the ones I want, the ones that look good. I'm not going to bother with all the rest because it's a lot of space on your computer when you start doing this. So I'm going to take all of these swans here. Quite like the idea of the swans. Let's see what else is in here. Streets. I quite like some of these. So I'm just going to pick all of these. I'm not sure which one I like the most. And that'll come down to which way people are looking, the angles, that sort of thing. And I'm just going to keep going. So I'm going to actually just speed this up and get back to you when I'm done. And right, so there I have. I picked out a few photos that stood out straight away, and that's all I'm going to import. If it didn't stand out straight away, you can look at them more, but I know these photos, so I'm doing this very quickly. And so once I have everything picked that I want, those are the ones I'm going to import. And that's just it. So I'm just going to press the import button down here, give it a few minutes. Okay guys, so here we have all our photos actually imported, and we can see them here. Now this may going to take a few minutes. That's fine, just stay with it. Now, on the left hand side here we can see that we now have a pictures folder with a 2017 folder inside of that, and if we extend that folder down, we can see we have a March folder, and again if we extend again, we have the 26th, which is the date on which this was taken. Now, at this point, I immediately go straight to the 26th, right click on it, and we can go up to create folder inside. And so we're going to create 4 folders in this to help us with our organization even further. So click here, and the first one we're going to call capture, which obviously is the photo in its raw form straight out of the camera, capture folder. And we're going to go down and we're going to do the same thing again and create a new folder. This one we're going to call select, and we'll explain what that is later. But we're going to do them all now because it's a nice workflow and it's straightforward and it gets it done immediately so you can't forget. After that, we're going to go master, and then finally we are going to go with, we'll just get rid of that off the screen. We're going to go with output, our final folder. Now, if we then, the arrow here is lit up on the side, we open it, we have all 4 of our folders. So first of all, we're going to move all of these into our capture folder. And to do that, we're just going to press Control A. If you're on an Apple, that's Command A. And then by pressing on the actual picture itself, and you'll see it'll come up with a drag icon, and we're going to drop it into the capture just there. Yes, move. And that'll move all of those. So we'll show you why that's important in a second. Okay, now that we have all of those moved in, if we just go down here, we're going to open a file. And if we just go into pictures, 2017 is right there. There's the March folder, 26th. And here's our 4 folders already made, and there's capture. If we just go in there, we can see here's all our photos. Now they don't show up as a preview because they are raw format. That's why we're using it in Lightroom. But don't worry about that so much. So that's, you can see it's easy to find, straightforward. It's in this folder, it's in March, it's in 2017. These are, you know, you've taken a photo in 2017, I took it in this month, I took it on this day. There it is, straightforward. However, I'm not great with dates. I'm pretty bad with them actually. I can never remember what day I took what photos on. I know which month it is, I can tell you it's the beginning, the end, or the middle, but what date I can't. So when I'm looking back, I have problems sometimes with just the date. So I'm going to go into this folder again. This time I'm going to go to rename. So there it is, 26th, I'm going to put 6th on that, and I'm going to go street. Photography. So I know that that's what that folder is. I know when I did street photography, 26th, there it is, straight away, in and out, without having to try and go through folder after folder after folder, trying to find the right one. Now, next thing we're going to do is, because when we've moved photos and everything, what you have to do every time you move a photo or you add something or you edit something, you're going to have to use what's called the synchronize folder. So this synchronizes that whole folder. So if anything's moved around at any stage, it'll synchronize and it will show up as the number on the side of these. But if you don't do that, it won't register. Lightroom will not know what's in that folder unless you tell it to look for what's in that folder. But we'll come to that again later. So there we have it. We have basically just moved everything in really quickly. And we have one folder that has everything in it. It's dated, it's named, you know which year it is, what month it is. It's really quick and easy to find. Even if you're not in Lightroom, you're just going through folders, it's easy to find. Now, next thing to do is we can see that all these photos are on this side, and I want to get everything arranged nicely before I go to the editing process. So I'm just going to click here first. Now I know all of these are going to need the same rotation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to go to the end of these photos, which is this one here. It then selects that entire group, and then what I'm going to do is these arrows here are for just rotating the picture around. And I'm just going to rotate. And it will rotate all of them at once for me, rather than having to go in and do one at a time. This is one of the things that makes Lightroom really quick, but it's the trick you need to learn to do. Now if we go down, is there anything else we need to rotate? There's 2 more. Shift, click. Go down to the arrow, rotate, and both of them will rotate at the same time. Wonderful, that's what we want. And we can see everything at the right size, the right angle, everything it should be. And that's all of them. Now the one thing to point out at this stage is, whilst they are rotated, they only look rotated whilst in Lightroom. If you go to the folder that they're in, the capture folder outside of Lightroom, they will still be on their side. Now we will deal with how to make that changed in a minute, but just remember, if you change it here, it hasn't changed unless you save it out. And we'll get to that later on. Right, now I have 4 photos here that all look pretty much the same. And I'm only going to need one of them. So one of the ways I like to go through this is I just like to look at them, just like this. And then I'm just going to scroll down because it's slightly down. Now they're a bit bright. I think they're bright, so I don't want the bottom 2. So we're concentrating on the top 2. Any differences? What do I like? I don't like this line down the side, so I'm going to pick this one. This is it. Now, in order to remember which one of these 4 I picked, rather than having to go back every time, is it the first one? Is it the third one? I'm going to go up to the corner here where there's a little flag, and I'm just going to press on that. And that is a way of just tagging the photos you like. Now, we'll go into where they are and how you see them later on. We're just going to carry on down here. So here I go. I've got 4 more of a swan, and you know, I like the last one. So I'm going to flag that one as well. That's the one I like. And I'm just going to go down and see. I've got multiples here. So which one do I like out of these 4? Let's just figure it up. I personally prefer this one, so I'm going to tag that one as well. Now, the reason we do this specifically in Library before we go near developing, when you go into development, every time you look at a picture, it has to create a preview, which takes time. And every time you move on to another one, you have to wait for it to make a preview and so on. Here, you don't have to do that. It does quick previews already. So it's quicker to do it here and not in development. We're just going to scroll down. Still happy with the pick? Yes. Quite like this girl on the bench. I'm going to pick this top one. There we go. I'm just going to keep scrolling down. See, I like this one with them all holding hands. Just make sure I have a chance to pop in. Yeah, I like that one, so I'm going to flag that one as well. And let's see. Anything else in here I particularly like? Oh yes, this one I really like. There is 2 of them. Do I like the other one? I do like that one as well, but I think I'll go with the first one. This one here, yeah. I like the way our arms are out and everything, so I'm going to take that one. Now, is there anything else quickly? Oh yes, I think that's just a better composition, so I'm going to take that one. So I've gone through it all. I've flagged what I want. So if I go up to attributes and up along, you can see here's all of these different ways of what is cataloging what you want, or filtering out, I should say. So now I've used the flag here. So I'm going to press the flag, and it's going to show me all of the pictures that I imported that have a flag in that folder. And so I don't have to keep looking at all of the others. I have what I want right here. There we go. 1 picture of each. The right one I like. I don't have to keep scrolling through which ones I want, which ones I don't. And that flag will stay on those. So in that capture folder, they are all flagged that way. So it'll, if you press up here, the flagging, you will get that. Now you can go on and do a star rating as well. You can do a color rating as well, and vice versa. But I rarely use them when I'm just doing street photography. I might do a star rating if I'm going, right, well, that one I specifically want to bring into Photoshop. So I'm going to put that one separate from the rest of these as well. But for the moment, just flagging will cut down the amount of pictures you have to look through on a regular basis. And it just, scrolling up and down becomes easier, more efficient. It's amazing how many times I'll take 5 variations of a photo, but one of them is all I want. And for ages I kept having to go through the folders and find which one I needed, and each time it was a different one before I figured out to do this, to be honest with you. So this will save you time. I know this is taking us a bit of time, but when you get used to this takes about 5 minutes really to go through and do. And you can get through hundreds of photos in minutes doing this and never have to go through a huge body of work again. Okay, so now that we have that done, I think it's time we go actually have a bit of a look at editing.